still have COVID?
Oh, hey, Taylor.
Hi.
I don't have COVID anymore.
Oh, hi, come on in. What you don't see is Tyler, our director, editor, content producer, all those titles and then some, was not able to make it to Road Atlanta for round 1 of Formula Drift because he was tested COVID positive. So we're going to be doing this video a little bit different than we normally would. We wanted to put some content together, show you guys some of what happened, kind of salvage the situation. So follow along, should be fun. Road Atlanta is a very unique course in relative terms for drifting. It's one of the only ones that has elevation changes and just a very, very technical racetrack. It's the fastest you'll be at any point on any racetrack in Formula Drift. When you enter, you're just over 100 miles an hour. The only track you'll see triple digits in FD. We had a hard time trying to figure out some stuff with front tire pressure, and then we had a bolt break on the rear control arm that made the left rear toe in almost 3 inches. The car drives really, really weird when the rear alignment is off even a little bit, much less a lot. We had quite the eventful Friday practice, and to be honest, I really wasn't feeling too confident going into qualifying on Friday night. Between the car running rough, losing the boost reference gauge, breaking a bolt in the knuckle twice, and then just generally not being used to this new tire, it was stacked against us, I'd say, because we really only had a couple full pulls in practice to kind of get a reference of where the car was and get me comfortable at this racetrack again.
Seeing him from debuting the vehicle just looked a little, wonky, just working it out, but the progression is what it's all about, where he's at now. But we are hearing that has no power steering. People say this track is pretty forgiving compared to other tracks, but we've seen people hit some walls. Look at this.
I think you risk it because it's really about positioning, right? You're for sure guaranteed to make it in the show unless you get 2 incompletes. But we have 32 drivers, so I would say you risk it on this first one.
All right, well, Taylor Hull has no power steering, so he's going to be fighting this thing. Let's see how it snaps back. I mean, no signs of any injury right now. As he comes into the keyhole, he's hammering down. Now, this is where it gets interesting, this big transition out of the keyhole. Looks solid right now, and I don't even feel like I need to mention has no power steering because he made that look really easy. Well done. There we go. I can hear his wife elated over there in the spotter's stand.
I ended up going and had a pretty solid lap considering all the issues that we'd had. You got to set yourself up very carefully the way that you enter to try and stay wide in the first turn so that you don't pile into the inner clip like I did a couple times in practice. Get past that first inner clip, they want you back on throttle hard before you get to it or right at it at the very latest. Full throttle through the switchback all the way up the hill. You can actually have rear tires on the rumble strip. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. When you get to the top of the hill, you come off. Some people use handbrake, some people use just angle of the car. I use kind of a little bit of both, and then downshift to third, go around the keyhole, hit the second inner clip right in the keyhole, then switch back. If you're chasing, sometimes you can stay in third gear there. If you're leading, I typically click back into fourth when I transition back, and then back up the hill to finish. It's a lot of speed change, both accelerating and decelerating throughout the course. Again, elevation change when you're coming up the hill, coming up towards the tunnel turn, you can't see the top of the hill. You just have to gauge where you are in the second outer zone. Try and time it right and hope for the best, because once you can see the top of the hill, it's too late. You're gonna miss it.
All right, waiting for Taylor's score, and there it is, 8-3. There it is, and 83 puts him into 8th position. I think that should be strong. We'll see if he holds on to that.
It was better than what I thought I was going to do, but then when I did it, I just didn't feel like that run got the score that maybe I thought it should have gotten. We were fighting power steering issues. Looking at some of the runs, I kind of thought that we maybe were a little bit higher than that, but regardless, that put us right in the middle of the pack. Dead center at 17. Which put me up against Chelsea DeNofa. I think of all the competitors all across grid in Formula Drift, I probably run DeNofa twice as much as I've run anybody else. I don't know what it is about our cars that find each other, but I've got a lot of battles against Chelsea, and unfortunately we're 0 on those battles. I've beat him once at clutch kickers, but never in FD. So.
Taylor Hull had a great year of his own last year, broke into the top 10. So this is going to be a tough battle in either direction. We get to see for the first time how these drivers have prepared in the offseason and what they look like in head-to-head competition.
And we are getting clear to send. And Hull is ready to throw down that Comp Cams. He is on Nexon Tire Yellow Speed Racing Cadillac ATS-V from Senoia, Georgia. Chelsea DeNofa will lead with the gold nose. That BC Racing Ditto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR Spec 5D for grip. Coming to that first clip, nice job by Chelsea DeNofa. Taylor Hull, he's tracking him down, pulling away up the hill. Chelsea comes into that second outside zone in the keyhole. You can see Taylor Hull compromising that distance to that outside zone and gaining that proximity. Is that what the judges are looking for? And brings around that last clip. Good transition. As I said, Chelsea, a hard act to follow, Ryan. Yeah, Wall just sits there like a bump on a log. Here we go. Taylor Hull out front. DeNofa in the chase position. Look at that gold nose just getting to the backside of the Intimidator. Full pole Hull looking clean. Chelsea DeNofa comes in a bit shallow. Taylor Hull throwing some gangster angle at it in that second outside zone. Coming through the keyhole. Chelsea tracking him down. Oh, gets squirrely, Chelsea DeNofa. You saw him dip that front left tire off course, thrown him out of sorts. Ryan, was Chelsea being potentially a little too aggressive there in the chase?
I was going to chase first because I was one place lower qualifying than him. So I knew that his car was going to be pretty fast going down the hill. I tried to time the start and jump it just a little bit, which you can do in FD. I didn't jump it enough. He got me going down the hill. I was spinning tires, trying my very best to do everything I could to catch up to him, but he got me a little bit on the run up, but that was okay. I initiated behind him. He got me a little bit more coming up the hill. I probably poured a little bit too much angle on in my transition and allowed him to get away even more, which was not good. So I could see him, getting smaller coming up the hill and knew I had to make an adjustment. So I did. I cut the line a little bit coming in from outer zone 2 to outer zone 3. The judges told us if you need to make a sacrifice, do it quick, do it fast, and then get back on line. That's what I did. Made that decision. It was more important to get back closer proximity than it was to fully fill that zone, so that made that sacrifice. Got right on his door coming across interclip 2 and transitioned with him and stayed with him in pretty relative proximity for the rest of the course. So felt like I was at a disadvantage after the first lap of the battle, but not a significant disadvantage that couldn't be, made up. So knew I had to put a really good lead run down and, hope that I was able to pull a gap on him the way that he pulled on me and kind of see where the cards fell. So that's what I did. We lined back up. I gave it hell coming down the hill. He was able to stay with me coming down the hill better than I was able to stay with him. Same thing coming up the hill. He had a little bit more proximity on me than I had on him. I filled both of the zones with pretty good, on pretty good line. I was pretty happy with. And right up against the second inner clip, transition good coming out of the keyhole, and that's where things kind of got a little weird for Chelsea. I think he was in the smoke and transitioned just a touch too early and ended up dropping 3 tires off behind me, trying to keep up and stay on line and stay with me. It's a very easy thing to do because it's a weird corner of the track right there, and it's hard to see anyway, and it's really hard to see when you're behind somebody. But transitioned, finished out the course strong. He dipped another tire off, I think, at the touch and go, and we finished the run. And tomorrow, was letting me know that he had dropped some tires. The judges were looking at it. They weren't sure how it was going to go. We were pretty sure it was going to go to us because typically in the past when you've gone more than 2 tires off, it's been a 0. But it was hard to tell from different camera angles. There was really only one overhead drone shot that you could tell that Chelsea dropped 3 instead of 2. So I don't know kind of what the full thought process was behind the decision, but it ended up going one more time instead of going our way. So obviously we were a little bit disappointed with that decision. We thought it was going to go toward us, but the way things are written in the rule book, it's not something we could protest, we thought. So, you know, we just kind of took that one on the chin, so to speak, and got ready for the one more time battle. So
now this is a full pull. One more time, we'll see a full pull. Hull can take down Chelsea DeNofa, second overall in the 2020 championship, as DeNofa qualifying 16th, Hull qualifying 17th, so fairly equally matched here. A shimmy there from Hull as he initiates. Oh man, kind of overshooting it, giving him bit off a little more than he could chew there on initiation. Now coming up the hill is Chelsea DeNofa to that second outside zone. You can see a large gap between them. Chelsea could be a little bit closer on that front clip. I mean, Taylor Holt just coming now into view. And Chelsea looking pretty dialed there, Ryan.
in that one, it didn't go quite the same. I knew at that point I was going to have to really change something to try and keep up with him down the hill and then back up the hill again. So when we came out of the gate, I jumped a little bit more, and then I just, went against what I thought I should do, and I cracked out of the throttle just a little bit because I was even with him coming out of the chicane, and the way FD rules are written, I have to give him, as the chase driver, I have to give the lead driver the full right of way to initiate however they want to. I'm in full support of that rule. I think that's a good thing to do. I just mistimed coming out of the chicane, so I had to roll out of the throttle just a little bit to give him that full use of the course the way that I'm supposed to, because if he comes over and hits me, then it's my fault. And I rolled out too much, too long. He was really going then, and then I'd knock the tires off of it trying to catch back up. And the end result is I just got in the corner way too hot, almost went off the racetrack, and I was grabbing handfuls of handbrake and foot brake and everything else trying to keep the car out of the kitty litter like I did the first lap in practice. And I did keep it out of the kitty litter, and I did stay in drift, but I was bus lengths behind him at that point. I didn't zero, and he had a great lead run. So this time, coming off the first lap of the battle, I was at a significant disadvantage. I basically was just having to hope that he zeroed behind me to be able for us to have any shot at a win.
And it's not about how quickly you go through the course, but you have to hit those clipping zones, hit the points, hit all the necessary criteria. I have a feeling Taylor Hull's really going to throw it down. He knows he has an uphill battle here, and knowing Chelsea, he always turns it up. So taking out, not totally center punching that first inside clip, is Taylor Hull now into the keyhole. Really good execution there, getting all the way out to that outside zone. Now coming back down the hill. Let's see how Taylor manages this. Past the touch and go. Chelsea, look at that, Taylor in that Comp Cams Cadillac ATS-V really throwing it down. Again, just a brand new tire there. He's on Nexon tires, the Yellow Speed Racing Cadillac.
I had a really good lap on my lead, probably my best lap of the weekend. I wish I'd have run that lap in qualifying. I probably wouldn't have been in this position having to run Chelsea in top 32, but he still made a couple corrections and whatnot behind me, but not as significant as what I made. So he got the win. And in that one more time battle, it was the right call. I didn't drive as good as him. And I got to learn from that and somehow find a way to get better at Road Atlanta, because Georgia Boy is not good at Road Atlanta, and I got to figure out a way to make sure that doesn't happen again and have a good showing for all the wonderful people that come out and support us. It was great to see a bunch of smiling faces in the stands. 20,000 fans out there is really good to see after not seeing anybody for most of last year. So it was a good event overall. Bummed we got the one more time still, but sometimes things don't go your way. We've got the choice to pout about it or sulk or continue thinking about that, but it was a close call, and it didn't go our way. So we've got to accept that and move on to Orlando next. In a few short days from now, we'll be packing up and getting the Cadillac behind me ready to go and get some redemption. I think bank tracks are kind of my bread and butter. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I think we're going to show what we're made of on this new tire. We've got a little bit of experience on this tire now. We've got some data, and we know where the car likes it. can continue working on the yellow speed coilovers, soften them up a little bit more, make the car even faster. I think we're going to be able to put it right on the wall. My goal is to qualify top 10 at a minimum, so that we'll have a little bit more, set ourselves up for success a little bit better. And we're extremely excited to be going down there with a car that runs and drives. I think we may get to go test it one time this weekend, just to get a little bit more data. So if you haven't already, take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, and follow along for more content throughout the year. Hope you're enjoying this style of video. See you soon.